Hello, and welcome to Clearly a Superior Stream with your host here, Mayo. I'll be going over a couple different topics today, and hopefully I can hold your attention. We'll see here shortly. The first one, so you can kind of get to know me a little bit better, is my favorite video game. Particularly, one of my favorite JRPGs, I guess, because I have a lot of different games I do enjoy. JRPGs are right up there, but I wouldn't say maybe my most favorite genre of game. The game I'm talking about in particular, though, is Star Ocean: The Second Story. It came out originally for the Sony PlayStation, and eventually was ported to the PSP back in 2000, I want to say 8 or 9, in that kind of area. Time. Yes, it was, I'd say, yeah, definitely my favorite game of all time. It mixes fantasy elements along with sci-fi elements into one game. The best way I could describe it would be as if you mixed, say, I'd say Star Trek and a traditional fantasy setting. And that the juxtaposition of themes was really, it was really cool, I thought. And it had its own sense of humor that, in a word, like it's one of those games you just have to play it to really get it. And what I'm a bit disgruntled about is sequels after the Star Ocean: The Second Story, which after that departure, they all began to use 3D graphics as opposed to 2D graphics, or mostly 3D. The second story had some 3D for special effects, but for the most part it was all a 2D kind of affair in terms of character art, special attacks, and so forth. Like I said, from there on out, it kind of ventured down a path of just everything being 3D, which is not necessarily bad, but I didn't particularly care for the style, nor did I care for pretty much any game after the second story. But I did have the pleasure of going back and playing Star Ocean: The First Departure, which is actually the original one that came out for the SNES, which is a decent game in its own right, but I still prefer the second one to the first one. Especially if you're playing the SNES version, which it was a very good game in its day, but age has not been kind to it. Get a daily dungeon going here in a second. But, yeah, that's my favorite game. In fact, so much so I named my character in this game Dias Flack, and kind of based his design off a character from that game, which is Star Ocean: The Second Story. Next up on my agenda, I'm gonna go through these fast, is the Heavensword, or Heavensword expansion. S or without an S, I'm not sure. To be honest, I'm not familiar with the expansion's details. I know they're going to be adding a couple new areas and such. Numerous areas which I don't yet know the name of. And even when the expansion does release, I'm probably not going to buy it right off the bat, since I probably won't even have reached max level by that point. My highest level guy, I think, is level 31 or so there's not much reason for me to put any money down on the expansion just yet. Some things about the expansion that have caught my eye, though, are the machinist and personal airships. Although the airships aren't actually personal, as I understand, they'll be owned by your free company. Which is, I think that's cool. I've always wanted a game where I could just have an airship and fly around on it. The closest that I think you could come to anything like that so far would be like Alods Online, if you've ever heard of that game, which I recommend don't, because it's not necessarily a bad game, but it's a Russian MMORPG that had a little bit of success, but not too much outside of Russia. No, but I'm getting off topic here. The personal airships, like I said, that tickles my fancy. Fight this boss. as does the machinist. Now, talking and playing video games is difficult, he says. Where to go? The idea of being able to live on your ship and have like NPCs and such doing services on your ship also sounds cool. I'm assuming that's what they're going to do, because you can do the same already with your house, or guild company house. Guild. The company house, it's a free company. I'm not sure if they're going to implement all those kind of features on the airship, but it stands to reason that they would, I would think. And I believe the airship is also going to play a role in the expansion, in that it's going to be transport between the regular places, regular parts of the map, and where the expansion takes place. As I understand, the expansion is where they're going to utilize flying mounts. So I guess it'll be like the Burning Crusade of Final Fantasy XIV, if that makes any sense. Although I may be mistaken, I've not read all the notes for the expansion. I believe that is how it's supposed to work. But no, the other part of the expansion that has my interest piqued is the machinist, and that's one of the 3 new classes that are going to be released with the expansion. Again, not much information available as of right now, but it's going to be a ranged DPS class, as I understand, which I wouldn't say my favorite class of the game, but not that bad. So I will be wanting to try out the machinist, which is, I guess, another word for gunner. They're going to be using guns of some sort. My favorite class would have to be somewhere between tank and healer, because both those classes kind of get to hang back and do things lazily during a dungeon, whereas if you're DPS, it seems like you're always having to throw around skills and always worry about focusing on maximizing your DPS, whereas with the healer or a tank, it's just a lot more laid back, and I just prefer that kind of gameplay, I guess. That's just me being lazy, really. What else is on the news? Oh jeez, we're only 8 minutes in. I've burnt through a lot of my talking points. Here we go. Hideo Kojima. He's a director for a lot of the Metal Gear games. He's the director for all the Metal Gear games. Well, maybe there was some of the handheld games. I'm not sure if he personally touched. Although for all the big name Metal Gear games. Oh, if you haven't noticed, I've already changed topics, because I know nothing more of Heavensword. See which boss is up here. Oh, but back to Kojima. Yeah. So apparently he is no longer going to be working with Konami, which is odd because he's been with Konami for a while now. As early as, well, I guess as early as the original Metal Gear was back in 1980. It was a 1980 NES game. So suffice it to say, he's been with Konami for quite a while. So naturally, the news of his departure has quite a few people cocking an eyebrow. Is this a ruse? Is this another one of Kojima's games? As he has been often known to do, is mix up information and surprise his audience. For instance, David Hayter, the oft-used voice of Solid Snake, has been replaced by Sutherland, who is he's the actor for The Wire, is it? Or not The Wire, it's one of those shows, 24, yeah. So, Kiefer Sutherland is going to be the new voice of Solid Snake, or more specifically, Big Boss, which is the father of Solid Snake, which, I don't know. If I try to explain it, the more I do, it'll just get more confusing, but suffice it to say, David Hayter was replaced with Kiefer Sutherland. That's pretty much all you need to know about that. So people are arguing, is David Hayter going to come back in some capacity to the game? Is he going to make an appearance as the son of Big Boss, which will be played by Kiefer Sutherland? Or is he some other capacity of the game? Nobody knows. So there is that, and then you have, like I said, Kojima leaving, which is recently announced. That was announced earlier this week at some point, I believe. And he's supposedly leaving around April 1st, which has a lot of people wondering, is this some kind of, is it a just a show per se? We'll actually won't know until he actually leaves. Although I believe it has been confirmed, like I said, from multiple news sources that this is indeed a legitimate move, as in he is no longer, or he will no longer be with Konami in the coming April month here. Also, DPSQ is taking a while here, as to be expected. I need to take a quick look at my quests here and see which I want to tackle next. Uh-oh, I have somebody in the chat. Hello, Mr. Ultima. Yeah. I'm not going to hit 50 for a while. I wouldn't say, at least for another month, and that's if I, like, grind this back to back to back, which is not how I play. Level 30, yeah, my highest guy, like I said right now, is level 30, so I'm not anticipating level 50, or, God forbid, level 60, which will come in the expansion, anytime in the near future. It is far off, to say the least. But in the meantime, I said I'm going to see if I can't find a quest to do, because right now I'm just kind of running around waiting for this quest to pop here. Dungeon, I should say. Let's see. It looks like all this stuff is in Eastern Lenosia, which I guess I could go. Alright, everything's Lenosia. The only thing not is Dragoon quest, I believe. And I'm not quite sure. I've not been to this area. It's a complete dark hole. It's probably not too far out of the way, but I'm not going to go and tackle it just yet. So, what I will do right now, what I originally was going to do earlier before I started the stream, was finish up my Arcanist's extra job quests. Right now I did the Scholar one, and now I need to do another one as well. To do that, I'm a real penny pincher, so whenever I have the chance, I'll warp home and then use the airship to get to places, because the airship's a bit cheaper than teleporting. But let me get back to the news post here. Yeah, but right, Hideo Kojima no longer at Konami, or at least he shouldn't be after April. I did not even skim any news articles. Those were just like the snippets of bits of noise I've heard here and there. Another big topic. It's kind of been this is more of a hearsay again, which is whispers among various industry folks about a coming industry crash in regards to gaming. And like I said, people have been talking about this for a while, as to whether or not it's actually going to happen, or if it is going to happen, when is it going to happen. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened in the next 5 to 6 years, or suffice to say, inside this console generation. I say this because we have, overall, a lot of games that are coming out that are actually pretty decent, but also filled with bugs and just problems right off the shelf that have to have day one patches to resolve. For instance, Assassin's Creed Unity was released a couple months ago, I believe. And if you played it on the PC, it was almost unplayable. And while it wasn't, I'm not sure, the same way for consoles, it wasn't much better off for consoles. And Assassin's Creed, I don't want to pick on Ubisoft, but it's a couple different game companies that have had similar issues with their, there's issues with releasing, or issues with DLC, so on and so forth. And that gets me to another point. DLC in particular has become more prevalent. A lot of people argue DLC is overpriced. You're not really getting, I would say, enough bang for your buck. And again, this is relative from one game to another. Some games offer I think, a more reasonable charge, whereas other games do not. I'm trying to pick and parse out some details or examples here for you. Let's see. I don't want to cite Borderlands 2, but it has a fairly reasonably priced DLC, at least for the PC, that is. Some other DLC. I don't actually order that much DLC often, so me having to think of any that come to mind that strike me as overpriced or underpriced is a bit difficult. Which leads me into another topic I could get into of just PC mods, which I would prefer to DLC. And when I talk about PC mods, of course, it gets into this free content, which is why I love PC gaming. It's a good topic of modding. I would have to say Shadowrun Returns. It's an isometric turn-based RPG, and basically the developers released mod tools so you can create your own campaigns, your own levels, your own content. So even though there's only been, I guess, 2 iterations of the game, which was Shadowrun Returns and Shadowrun Dragonfall, this game, like I said, has a boatload of user-made content. Like, so I could probably spend months playing campaigns and maps other people have made for the game. And with, like, when I have those kind of examples, why would I bother with, traditional Call of Duty map packs or mods or such of that nature? It's hard for me to rationalize that kind of purchase. Let's see. But I'm getting way off topic here. Let me steer back into the right place. The coming video game industry crash. When do I think is going to happen? Like I said, maybe inside this console generation. I say that pessimistically, but like there's no guarantee that would happen, and I certainly hope it doesn't, since it would basically destroy a lot of people's jobs in the industry right now if that did occur. I think part of it stems from there's a lot of people, particularly consumers, who don't trust the publishers. You get Assassin's Creed Unity is one thing, it's DLC is another. But when you look at the commingling, sorry, brain fart. It does not bode well. After this, here. Let's see. Here we go. That's. Scholar unlocked. I think for future episodes, I'll break up my news points with more Final Fantasy XIV bits and pieces. Kind of go over what I'm doing in game along with newscasts as well. So this will be my inaugural first episode. The episode before, which I actually called the first episode, I actually ended up renaming episode 0, since that was more of like a pilot kind of test chamber for technology and how well everything worked. Okay. But in regards to progress, as Mr. Ultima pointed out earlier, I'm only level 30. I'm probably not going to get to level 50 for a while. And part of that is because almost all my Disciples of War classes are around 30, or in that general area of level. and I kind of want to keep them all the same level. I don't think I'm going to end up doing that in the long run, but for the short-term future, I'm going to try to get everyone to 30, maybe 35, and that's when I'll probably start branching out or just focusing on just one or two particular job classes, as opposed to trying to bring up everyone at the same time, which is not the easiest thing to do. It's a lot of grinding. And even if I do every single daily I get, it'll still be an arduous grind. I need to look at my map again. I'm just about done here in the city. I should have done that while I was still in Virginia. Oh. So I'll hop back on the airship and get back over there. Well, let's see. This should give me quite a bit of talking points. I was gonna go over other podcasts, although this is actually a stream, but I'm doing this in more of a podcasty format, I think. So that's why I may transition this over to being a podcast. If it sounds like a duck, moves like a duck, swims like a duck, then what is it? You know? So, like I said, this may become a podcast. For the immediate future, I'll still keep calling it a stream. But the fact of the matter is, when I am playing Final Fantasy XIV, I listen to a lot of podcasts. As of late, one I've been focusing on quite a bit is the Big Red Barrel podcast. And to be honest, they're not my favorite podcast, but they have a whole bunch of episodes already out. So it's good kind of just zone out and just kind of listen to kind of stuff for me. They talk about mostly video game stuff, although they will branch off into other bits of media, but primarily it's all video games. So that's, you know, my peak interest right there. Other than Big Red Barrel, one I think I mentioned maybe before at some point was Hello Internet with CPG Grey, and he also has a co-host, but his name escapes me right now, so if that's any indication of how long it's been since I've listened to an episode. Hello Internet only has about 30 some odd episodes out, and it features CPG Grey. If you're not familiar with CPG Grey, he does a lot of interesting videos on YouTube that detail certain aspects of geography, science, and various voting systems. Really, it's if you've not listened to any of his stuff, I'd highly recommend giving his YouTube channel a visit. Like I said, if you're not into educational stuff, it may not tickle your fancy, but for me, it's good stuff. And he basically brings that kind of discussion, that kind of talk to the Hello Internet podcast. Let's see. But oh, we're not doing too bad here. 30, 20, 24 minutes. Let's see. What else do we have? Is the Intelligent Debates Squared. It's another podcast, which, if you've never listened to it before, it's a bit more dry. But if you like hearing opinions that you may not always agree with, you know, just for the sake of argument or discussion, I highly recommend you check out the Intelligent Debate Squared podcast. They have quite a few episodes under their belt, and every episode you're going to get something a little bit different in terms of debate, which I do enjoy. I could use a drink of water, to be honest. Give a little sip, tip and sip, one moment. There we go. But yeah, they cover everything from gun rights, affirmative action, basically any kind of debate that is, you know, in the media, they kind of cover, and they devote equal time to both sides, and both sides get to make their case And what's cool for the internet, I'm sorry, I keep calling it internet square debates, it's intelligent square debates, is at the end of each debate, what they will actually do is poll the audience. And depending on how many opinions they're able to sway, not who votes more for either topic, they'll crown that side of the debate the winner, which I think is interesting. Let's see. What else? What other podcasts do I have? I have Bill Burr's Monday Morning Podcast, and he's a comedian. If you're not familiar with Bill Burr, and basically what he does is he talks about sports, comedy stuff, and just little snippets of his life and stories and such. It's pretty good. He definitely is better at this than I am, I would say, in just terms of just talking for quite a while. And at the end of every episode, he'll have viewer mail where he answers people's questions and gives them his take on their problems, which is pretty entertaining, I think. But mentioning him, there's a lot of other comedians that do podcasts as well. There's a Joe Rogan podcast, which I've heard is excellent, and I probably should start listening to it, but I kind of have a backlog of podcasts, and I'm always jumping from one to the other. So Joe Rogan, I guess, will get some love from me here eventually. After, like I said, I probably finish up with the Big Red Barrel podcast. Let's see. I think this will. I got 2 more podcasts to go over. I'm just paying lip service to everyone who does this better than I do. But before I do that, let's see what this lady has to say. Eurydice Flack, I assume. Well met, and thank you for coming. My name, as you have obviously surmised, is Yimherta. I think that's right. I am a member of the Sons of Saint Cognac. I believe that's an alcoholic beverage. Ours is the Charleyan order that seeks the lost knowledge of the Algian Empire. And in that regard, we have recently made a singularly important discovery at our dig site in Daherna. We salvaged from the ruins a set of ancient texts describing the existence of a sect of Algian mages known as Summoners. These were arcane practitioners said to have the ability to siphon the essence of the primals and manifest the stolen energy as a biddable ally known as an agent. I love it. Should we succeed in researching such arts, then we might well hold in our hands the power to bring this age of conflict to an end. There is, however, as there always must be, one monumental obstacle to realizing this reality. In order to manifest these obedient incarnations, I like that, of the beast savage deities, one must first defeat a primal and capture its etheric essence. Okay, let's see what else this lady has to say. Whole bunch of cryptic mumbo jumbo. Basically, I'm gonna get a pet to summon. So that sounds like good times. Keep the gravy train rolling. Okay, 2 other podcasts I want to get into. But before I do that, let me pull up my map. Well, wow, this is all the way in Thanalan. In the desert, no less. Alright, well, let's get going. The other podcast I want to talk about is The Biggest Problem in the Universe, hosted by Dick Masterson and Maddox. If you're not familiar with Maddox, he basically is a satirist that owns the best page in the universe. Dick Masterson is a similarly worded fellow, in much the same vein Maddox is. And basically their entire show entails them trying to argue over which problem is the biggest problem in the universe. So as you can imagine, it's jokes and japes of quite a funny nature. one of my favorite podcasts. And they also have an extra show, which you could pay, I forget how much, like $7 or something like that, and you could get some kind of special show, which I subscribe to. So now I get their extra show. That's me being patronizing. But yeah, biggest problem in the universe. They also have a YouTube show that is a derivative of their main show, which is getting quite a few views. And in a way, they are almost like the Intelligent Debate Squared, in that they poll the audience when they're done to try to determine which is the biggest problem in the universe, which is kind of cool. Like, they have audience participation both in the YouTube show as well as on their website. Time for a swig of water. One moment, please. And it's a neato show. Yeah, that swig of water killed my concentration. Whoa, what are we talking about again? Usually their topics for the debate are, like I said, they are satirists by heart. So some of the problems are benign, like how people drive on the road and old people, while some of it is more pressing matters like genocide and what's one of their good ones? I think at one point they were debating police militarization, which was an interesting and of course they're both comedians in nature, so a lot of the debate isn't necessarily the most intellectually enthralling, but it's fun to listen to nonetheless. And I definitely recommend giving them a listen to. It's good stuff. Let's see, let's go to... I'm gonna go to the Gold Saucer, because I think that's actually closer to where I want to go. So DPS queue is going slow tonight. And, oh. Speak of the devil. If I ever get out of this loading screen. If I stretch over an hour, it'll be okay, I think. I'll still hit on my last point of interest, I think. Oh. I have dial-up or something, don't I? It's taking forever to load in. I think it's because I'm streaming. Watch it, by the time I load in, I'll have missed my queue join. Oh crap! No! Truly, there is no justice. Oh, you evil man! All right, well, so much for that. Let's jump into another queue. I've never been screwed like that before. Go nice. Something will queue nice and quickly. Let's see. Actually, I could do Paladin. Oh, I need to do Marauder. Oh yeah, and he's close to level 30, no less. Missing a bit of gear for this guy. There we go. Now this should go a bit faster. I was a bit taken aback there when I could not get into my dungeon. There. Whoa! The next second. That is how much they need tanks. Let's go ahead and get this party started. The last podcast I was going to get into was The Unexplained Paranormal with Howard Hughes. Basically what he does, and he has a bunch of episodes, is he'll have these people who've maybe been sniffing a bit of paint or what have you, and claim to be secret insiders to government cabals and alien abductees. Really, it's a mix of everything: paranormal, science fiction sounding stuff, and other stuff. It's let's see. Talk to my party. Give some customary pats to some cat girls and so forth. But yeah, paranormal. What was it? What did I say? The Unexplained Paranormal with Howard Hughes. I said a lot of his stuff I don't really care for, since I don't believe in ghosts. I would prefer fourth dimensional beings as a likely representative for ghosts, which is a whole podcast topic unto itself. I'll get into someday. But let's see. Hold on, we just got into this dungeon here. Let's see what I get. Not a single cat girl, but one cat boy. I'll give him some petting. Pet him on the head. Oh boy. Dang, it feels good to be a tank. Let's get the show rolling here. But I said, what I like about tank, I hit my aggro skill a few times, and then I just kind of lazily press buttons and figure something will go right. I feel like that as a tank, my main objective is making sure everyone stays alive by keeping aggro off them. It's a very relaxing role in any team, I think. But yeah, podcasts, I like them. I listen to them. If I wasn't currently doing a podcast, or stream if you will, I would totally be listening to a podcast right now. Probably the Big Red Barrel. Yeah. It is a bit sad in the chat. There was one comment, and I think he has already left. If he's, I'm not sure. But that's not going to deter me. I feel compelled to do a stream. It's a real, if you make it, they will come kind of feeling I have. And I noticed that there had been a few people who had actually watched my stream after I had posted it, so I felt compelled, at the very least, to make another stream to give them something to watch. Here. Although I am kind of curious, I've not looked at the quality for this stream yet. Of course I can't see it. If it's anything like the previous stream, I'm sure I'm jumping all over the place with every time I move. But like I said, I'm just happy to be able to make something, which is what I enjoy doing. But yeah. Let me tell you more about myself, if you please. Open up your ear, will you? Yes. I do enjoy video games. Like I said, Star Ocean: The Second Story, favorite game of all time, I would have to say. And it does sound cliched, like JRPG. Is there a runner-up? Is there what else would I say be like a favorite? I should have, I guess, made a top 10 list or something. But really, I can't really compare any other game with Star Ocean: The Second Story. If I had to come up with a close second... There we go. Level up, son. If I had to think of another game that would rival my enjoyment that I get out of Star Ocean, it would be from a completely different genre. And that game would have to be Advance Wars. Particularly Advance Wars... Black Hole Rising. It was a title for the much acclaimed GBA console. Basically, you controlled various units ranging from infantry all the way to tanks on a grid-based battlefield. It's much the same vein of, in the same vein of Fire Emblem, if you're familiar with that series. if you're not familiar with Fire Emblem, you control various horse-mounted units and archers and such on a grid-based map. I believe the actual developer for Advance Wars is the same as Fire Emblem, although I may be incorrect. Still, if you've played either of those games, you'll notice a lot of similarities between the two. Let's see, what next? Other than Advance Wars, what's another classic gem? Another one of my favorites. I don't have that many favorite games. No fun allowed, as the saying goes. Give me a second. Well, this I wouldn't say be my favorite game. Rather, it's a series of games that are very atmospheric, and that would be the Stalker series, if you're familiar with those. Sometimes I fail to enunciate. The Stalker series encompasses 3 games, really, so far that most people would acknowledge. That would be Stalker, Shadow of Chernobyl, Stalker, what was the second one? What the hell? Was Stalker... What was it? Anyway, there was a second one in the series. As you can tell, not the most loved game in the series. The third, and probably one of the most regarded, is the Pia Resistance, would be the Stalker Call of Pripyat. If you're not familiar with that, it basically took aspects of the first 2 games and combined them together to really, which would be the, I guess, the best overall experience, I would say. And what really sets Stalker apart, it's very difficult, at least if you don't really understand how the game works. It's definitely like the Witcher of first-person shooters, I would say. And it's the difficulty and the atmosphere. Like, those 2 components alone, really, I think, are what define Stalker, you know, as its own. You do not get a similar experience from any other first-person shooter as you get from Stalker. If I were to pick my favorite from the series, between, say, Pripyat and Shadow of Chernobyl. Oh, I just now remembered the other game now. The one between the first and third game was Stalker Clear Sky, which introduced a number of different features, some of them which carried over to the third installment, Pripyat, some did not. But overall, Clear Sky was known for having a lot of bugs. My personal playthrough with it, I experienced a few issues here and there, but I didn't really feel the game was broken so much as it was flooded with a lot of cool ideas that did not really come to fruition. It's the best way to say it. Take a sip of water here. It's been a while since I've talked this much, this long, and that's even though, considering I like the sound of my own voice. Where was I? Yes. Stalker Clear Sky. Not the best installment in the Stalker series, but by no means the worst. Definitely give it a try if you've played either of the other ones. Like I said, it's not as bad as people claim it is, but you will know the difference when you play that game versus, you know, Shadow of Chernobyl and Call of Pripyat. Let's see. But, alright, on to which one, Shadow of Chernobyl or Pripyat. Which one would I prefer? It would have to be Pripyat. Like I said, that took features from both Shadow and Clear Sky, and really, it just polished them to the best that they could be, which is good. Because that was the last Stalker game, pretty much, that is going to be made, I think. Hold on, my party's saying something. I think our healer's messing up, although it may be my fault, I'm not sure. I'm not even paying attention to the rest of my team, which is, that's not the right way. I should totally be paying attention. But when you're a tank, though, it's so easy just to kind of drift off, not even care. But back on the Stalker, where I was earlier. Call of Pripyat will be the last official Stalker game, I think. There's an online game called Survivarium, which is kind of like, I guess, a spiritual successor to the Stalker series, but it is clearly not a Stalker game, so bollocks to Survivarium. As for Call of Pripyat, though, like I said, it is, in my opinion, the best it's the best version of Stalker in the Stalker trilogy. And I'm glad that was the one they were able to end on. I could go into a whole stream worth of just talking about Stalker, the mechanics I like and all that. There's only so much time in the day. But 647. Just about done with this. Just to clear out this dungeon, I'll be done, I think. The last bullet point I wanted to hit on tonight was the quality and format of my stream. Should I just do audio only? You know, since you love the sound of my voice, I'm sure. But maybe you're not too enticed with the video quality I'm pumping out. I could maybe switch this over to completely just being an all-audio podcast, which I wouldn't necessarily be against, although I do like streaming. It's cool because I can sometimes run across situations I wouldn't normally encounter. And if you don't necessarily like my voice that much, you have something to watch as well. But of course, the problem being that what you have to watch isn't necessarily of the highest quality, so I fall back to my other problem, should I just make it a podcast? And I'm thinking I should, but like I said, I'm not entirely sure. The bonuses, if I were to make it just a podcast, I think I would probably not be playing a game while I was doing a podcast. I could actually just talk about things and be more focused. Whereas with the stream, I'm playing a game, I'm talking to you. Oh, uh-oh. I think one of my folks is inside my stream watching me as I'm streaming. A guy inside my friend company. Oh. Let's see. One second. Where was I? My fellow company mate has completely knocked me off my horse. Or in my case, a chocobo. Where was it? Yes, podcast formats versus streaming format. When I'm streaming, if you're watching right now, it's not of the highest quality. And like this, all I would need to do would be to up my internet speed, particularly the upload speed, and I could get a much higher quality stream. But that is cost prohibitive going forward, so I won't be able to do that anytime in the near future. If I were to do a podcast, which I am considering, I would want to have another guy with me, somebody who I could bounce stuff off of, and someone who would point out things when I say stupid stuff, and say, yeah, dude, no, this is clearly the better thing, or you're wrong, let me explain to you why you're wrong. I love a good debate, but I've been searching around, I've asked friends here and there, no one seems to be interested, which I understand. A podcast is an undertaking. It's not just something you just kind of walk into and it's done. It's something that takes a bit of planning. Unlike a stream where, in a stream, I can kind of meander along, and my excuse can be that I'm playing games. I can pause for a moment while I'm playing if it's something dire. If I'm have to focus. Let me see if I can post something real quick for my guildmates. There we go. There was a bit of confusion. I never posted my stream to my company. I didn't think anyone in my company would want to watch my stream. If that's any indication of how much confidence I have in my showmanship. But right, yeah. Should I switch it over to a podcast format and forego the stream altogether? Or should I stay the course and keep on streaming? Personally, I would like to stream. When I do stream, basically all the work is taken care of for me as I'm actually streaming the content. I could technically do a stream without video, just be... responding to a person in my party there. There goes my train of concentration again. Once someone says something in the chat and I go to glance at it, I'm completely lost. So that's why I need a co-host, somebody to pull me back on the horse, because I have no idea where I was going before. Oh yes, if I were to do just an audio stream, that would work much the same way this one does, except instead of having video, you just have audio, and it would upload to the internet instantaneously. I can do that. You know, it's just a way to talk to people live, which is interesting. Personally, I think it's kind of janky. I don't quite get the allure of it, but I may in fact pursue that just to see how it is, just to play with my toys. As you all know, I love to play with my toys. If I do that, I'll have to research podcasts a bit further, or streams a bit further. So the only tools I'm familiar with really are Twitch. There's supposed to be something you can set up on Google, where you can have like a whole like Skype conversation over Google or something to that effect. Like I said, I've never actually looked into that before. It looks like a fun thing to do just to play with like toys, so to speak. But like I have no experience with that, so it'll take a few minutes on Google at the very least for me to look into that. Something like the slow, arduous grind of a few EXP points at a time. Where are we? Oh, okay. We're about the halfway point. Oh no, I'd say a little over halfway. We're 2/3 of the way done with this place, which is good because I am about ready to get out of here. I hope we got all the photo cells. Oh. Let's open up those windows by accident. There we go. But I've been real lazy this dungeon run. Just spamming my aggro skill. I'm not even running my correct sequence of attacks to maximize DPS. I'm just kind of hitting whichever button I feel like. Which leads me to my next point. If I ever do any serious dungeons, I'm going to actually have to pay attention. I don't think I could actually stream those live. Or if I did stream those live, I would have to be very quiet as I focus from one bit of boss battling to the next. Oh, crap. See, there's this part of it right there. I should have took care of those guys a lot sooner. Got the aggro. It's like this is not the hardest dungeon in any case, but still, I like to at least act like I know what I'm doing, if that's any consolation. Alright. Pass on that junk. The boss for this place is actually fairly tricky. You have to actually look at the floor and stuff and determine if the floor that you're standing on is poisonous. Like, it's kind of like this junk, except instead of slowing you down, it hurts you. One thing I'll do in dungeons, like if I'm not paying attention, I'll think that I've killed everything and just keep going. And I'll look back and like, where is everybody else? And they're still fighting a mob that I missed. Which is not... not my highest point of play. This guy's taken care of here. Let's see, what's some other topics I could delve into that I only just touched on? Heavensword, the expansion. Like I said, the biggest things I'm hyped about are, like I said, the machinist class and company's personal airships. That's both those things are right up my alley in terms of I like that. Good deal. Now, another thing they mentioned is personal flying mounts. And I'm kind of curious. Now, I know I've seen like a flying chocobo mount before, so I'm assuming that's going to be part and parcel to the expansion. My question is this going to be the same chocobo I'm currently using? Like, if so, are there going to be special, like, abilities only your chocobo has for flying? Is there going to be aerial chocobo combat? I doubt the latter. Or are we going to get, like, a separate chocobo just for flying? Although maybe I misread the notes. Maybe we're each getting our own personal airship, which would be awesome. I would completely be behind that. There's already like a tiny mount in the game that is called an airship, but it is not a proper airship. When I think of an airship, I'm thinking of something I can walk on and off, and there's like stuff on the airship I can access. There's like motors and rooms and stuff. Have you ever heard anybody meander more? But yeah, personal airships, that would be the bee's knees. Something like where you get on the ship, and there's like a cabin you can go in and customize the cabin like a house. And you could invite other people on your airship and go on little adventures and whatnot. That would be beyond the pale of cool. I would love every second of that nonsense. Run right through the poison, I don't even care. Just get this mess over with. Revisiting other topics. Well, I'm closing in just about on an hour, so I'll have to go over by a little bit, but I don't know. Hopefully you, the viewer, won't mind as well. Let's see. Other things to go over. Now, I could talk for years on video games. The question is, will any of it be compelling to listen to? This is called the Superior Stream, and of course I say that with tongue-in-cheek, but I would like to think that I have something worth saying when I'm not flubbing every other word. I was trapped behind a ball of spider bung. That was pretty low. I'm glad someone else knows the right way to go, because I was not even paying attention to the way in which I was going. Another part of this dungeon, boss at the boss of this dungeon is he'll spawn little like baby scorpion spider things, and you have to watch out for those. I'm gonna try to catch the aggro. I don't necessarily have to. The DPS should be able to handle it. But I'm gonna try to get them to aggro onto me in either case. It seems like the nice tankly thing to do. A Tankly tankly thing to do. That's my word. Copyrighted. Don't try to steal it. Let's see, what else? In regards to creative stuff, my favorite dye I use is cerulean blue. I use this because Diaslack, the guy I'm basing this off of, his costume was almost entirely blue. I'm not sure it was the exact same color of this. He had a green tunic and a blue cape. And of course you have to remember this is for PS1 era graphics.
He changes gears so fast. What is he talking about now?
Yeah, so I'm talking about Star Ocean: The Second Story. Specifically, Diaslack, the character in that game. The green tunic and the blue cape, pretty much, that's what set his character apart. I don't think there's any capes in this game. If there are, they're part of a big costume piece I've not yet got my hands on. And as soon as I do get, like I said, some kind of costume with a cape, I will want to use it. The closest thing I've come to a cape thus far was like it was like a piece for a rogue, or like a medium armor wearing person. Skip this business. Oh, I just realized I have to eat some food. I am running on empty here. Let me eat some of this. Oh, wait. Skill speed, there we go. Alright, what was I going on about? Yes, Diaslack's color scheme. So I color all my stuff cerulean blue. Sometimes I'll use a midnight blue as well. And that stems from another thing. I actually like the color blue. Of course, that's kind of a generic statement. You know, what's your favorite color? Blue is my favorite color. But as for costuming, for costume's sake, cerulean blue, I think, looks the best in this game thus far that I've tried on armor and whatnot. I may have to try another blue out at some point, but really, so far, poison.
There's poison on the floor! Watch your feet! Don't step in the poison!
There's the poison on the floor. There's poison all over the floor. No. But when there's not poison on the floor, yes. My most favorite color is cerulean. Clearly, that is superior color to all the other colors. And I need to take the aggro off this guy. I'm out of TP. Oh, we're about done. That's the thing, though. That's how I am with a tank. We're like, oh no, we're losing. Oh wait, the boss is already dead. Yeah. Well, let's see. Alright, again, as a tank, I was half paying attention, not using any of my skills right, and we still were able to pull it off. And that has more to say about the healer than it does about me, but that's why I like doing tanking. It's just so laid back, you don't even care. You're all E-famous, I have to let them know. Oh, I was gonna pet that cat guy. Oh, well, I'm not gonna pet these other losers. Let's get out of this place. He wants me to mail him a check. I'll give him a check when I get my own check. We're just about at the cusp in. A little over an hour. Which is satisfactory. Satisfactory. I don't think I'll be having an after show today, which is good. This is not a regularly scheduled podcast. The plan is to do this on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I just want to do a Saturday podcast because I'm bored and I feel like just talking. I want my voice to go into your ear holes, penetrate your cranium hole, straight into your brain. That's what I'm trying to get at. Well, that's about it, folks. Let me do a bit of gambling first. I'll do a bit of gambling, and we'll call it a show after that. All right. Oh yeah. Oh. Live gambling. All right. I'm gonna do this one first. 9. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. 9, 6, be 15. We have 15. Oh, it's a gamble no matter how you dice it. Let's see. 2. Okay. 2. And I'm gonna put 6, 9. All right. 9, 15, 16, 17. Okay. That would be okay. 180. But I'm gonna take a gamble. What we have here. 4, 5, 6. Oh man. What would it be if I were to do that? 4. Let's see. 5, 6. What could the other numbers be? I definitely couldn't get the 10,000 going that way. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. If I had a 1 and a 3 going either up or down, that would be the bee's knees. I get 1,000. Okay, let me flip a coin for this business because I don't trust my own judgment. Heads horizontal, tails vertical. All right. Heads. What did I say? Heads vertical. Yeah. Okay, come on, big money. Ah, jeebers. Not even. It was not even close. What do I have gotten for horizontal? 7, 8, 9, 14. It wouldn't have been that much better. That's what I get for gambling. Alright, folks, that's all. That's a show. I'm shutting it down. I'm shutting it down. Get out of here. I'm shutting it down right now. It's being shut down. The process of shutting down has already began. If you're not already out of here, you need to get moving, because it's about to shut down. We're shutting it down.